Both the Imperial and United States customary systems of measurement derive from earlier English systems used in the Middle Ages, that were the result of a combination of the local Anglo-Saxon units inherited from German tribes and Roman units brought by William the Conqueror after the Norman Conquest of England in 1066. Having this shared heritage, the two systems are quite similar, but there are differences. The U.S. customary system is based on English systems of the 18th century, while the imperial system was defined in 1824, after American independence. Volume. Volume may be measured either in terms of units of cubic length or with specific volume units. The units of cubic length are the same in the imperial and U.S. customary systems, but with the specific units of volume they differ. The U.S. customary system has one set of units for fluids and another set for dry goods. The imperial system has only one set defined independently of and subdivided differently from its U.S. counterparts. By the end of the 18th century, various systems of volume measurement were in use throughout the British Empire. Wine was measured with units based on the Queen Anne's gallon of 231 cubic inches. Beer was measured with units based on an ale gallon of 282 cubic inches. Grain was measured with the Winchester measure with a gallon of approximately 268.8 cubic inches. In 1824 these were replaced with a single system based on the Imperial Gallon. Originally defined as the volume of 10 pounds of distilled water, then redefined by the Weights and Measures Act of 1985 to be exactly 6997454609000000 unregistered trademark 4.546009L, the Imperial Gallon is close in size to the old ale gallon. The Winchester measure was made obsolete in the British Empire but remained in use in the US. The Winchester bushel was replaced with an imperial bushel of 8 imperial gallons. The subdivisions of the bushel were maintained. As with US dry measures, the imperial system divides the bushel into 4 pecks, 8 gallons, 32 quarts or 64 pints. Thus all of these imperial measures are about 3% larger than their US dry measure counterparts. Fluid measure is not as straightforward. The American colonists adopted a system based on the 231 cubic inch wine gallon for all fluid purposes. This became the U.S. fluid gallon. Both the imperial and U.S. fluid gallon are divided into 4 quarts, 8 pints or 32 gills. However, whereas the U.S. gill is divided into 4 U.S. fluid ounces, the imperial gill is divided into 5 imperial fluid ounces. So whilst the imperial gallon, quart, pint and gill are about 20% larger than their U.S. fluid measure counterparts, the fluid ounce is about 4% smaller. Note that 1 avoirdupois ounce of water has an approximate volume of 1 imperial fluid ounce at 62° Fahrenheit. This convenient fluid ounce to avoirdupois ounce relation does not exist in the U.S. system. One noticeable comparison between the imperial system and the U.S. system is between some Canadian and American beer bottles. Many Canadian brewers package beer in 12 imperial fluid ounce bottles, which are 341 milliliters each. American brewers package their beer in 12 U.S. fluid ounce bottle, which are 355 milliliters each. This results in the Canadian bottles being labeled as 11.5 fluid ounce in U.S. units when imported into the United States. Because Canadian beer bottles predate the adoption of the metric system in that country, they are still sold and labeled in Canada as 341 milliliters. Canned beer in Canada is sold and labeled in 355 milliliters cans, and when exported to the U.S. are labeled as 12 fluid ounce. Length. The international yard is defined as exactly 0.9144 meters. This definition was agreed by the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, South Africa, Australia and New Zealand through the International Yard and Pound Agreement of 1959. The U.S. survey foot and survey mile have been maintained as separate units for surveying purposes to avoid the accumulation of error that would follow replacing them with the international versions, particularly with state plane coordinate systems. The U.S. survey foot is defined so that 1 meter is exactly 39.37 inches, making the international foot of 0.3048 meters 2 parts per million shorter. This is a difference of just over 3.2 millimeters or a little over 1/8 of an inch per mile. The main units of length were the same in the USA, though the USA rarely uses some of the intermediate units, such as the chain and the furlong. At one time the definition of the nautical mile was based on the sphere whose surface is the same as the Clark ellipsoid. In the US, the full value of 1,853.256 meters was used, but in the Commonwealth, this was rounded to 60-80 feet. These have been replaced by the international version, which rounds the 60th part of the 45th degree to the nearest meter, as 1852 meters. Weight and mass. Traditionally, both Britain and the US used three different weight systems: troy weight for precious metals, avoirdupois weight for most other purposes, and apothecary's weight for medicines. However, apothecary's weight has now been superseded by the metric system. One important difference is the widespread use in Britain of the stone of 14 pounds for body weight. This unit is not used in the United States, although its influence was seen in the practice, until World War II, of selling flour by a barrel of 196 pounds. Another difference arose when Britain abolished the troy pound on January 6, 1879, leaving only the troy ounce and its decimal subdivisions, whereas the troy pound and penny weight are still legal in the United States, although no longer widely used. In all the systems, the fundamental unit is the pound, and all other units are defined as fractions or multiples of it. The tables of imperial troy mass and apothecary's mass are the same as the corresponding United States tables, except for the British spelling dram in the table of apothecary's mass. The table of imperial avoirdupois mass is the same as the United States table up to 1 pound, but above that point the tables differ. The imperial system has a hundredweight, defined as 8 stone or 112 pounds, whereas a US hundredweight is 100 pounds. In both systems, 20 hundredweights make a ton. In the US, the terms long ton and short ton are used to distinguish them. The term metric ton is also used to denote a ton, which is about 2% less than the long ton. See also. Notes